Hello. Thank you to whoever liked this live so far. Thank you. If you would kindly let me know who you are commenting. I'm writing something in the right here. Okay. Okay. So Heather Hotcakes, welcome. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you for the likes, you guys. That helps me out a lot. Auntie April, hey, welcome. Today is a very victorious day, and I will say why. So for the last few months, my partner and I have been battling our former landlord. She basically stole our deposit money. So we went to court the beginning of December 1st was our first court date for that, down in Watsonville, California, Santa Cruz County. And we had our second date today because she didn't file the paperwork correctly the first time, so we had to reschedule. And today was victorious for us because we won our judgment. We didn't win the whole amount that we sued for, we countersued, but we won something. So something is definitely better than nothing. And so it's a victory nonetheless. And it's always important to fight for what's right. So yes. So I'm kind of like, it's like, I can't believe that it's finally over type of mood. But I'm happy that, I have this tonight scheduled. I'm here with you guys. So yay! Before we get into it, I wanted to ask, where are you guys from? Heather Hotcakes, Auntie April, where are you at in the world? I'm curious. Where are you from? Well, I'm drinking. Am I the only one? I might be. The only person. Oh, San Jose. April, it's you. Hey, April. Okay, I know who you are. Dr. Pepper diet, but I drink it with the thing half open because I'm odd, but there we go. So yes, okay, so San Jose, okay, so yeah, right over the hill from Santa Cruz is what we used to say with San Jose, right over the hill. So we didn't have to go down there this time. We were remote, which was excellent. So even better, Heather Hotcakes. Oh, you're okay. Oh yeah. The retrograde. So Mercury retrograde is active right now. Yep. And Mars. And Mars is the energy of like the fighting planet. So it's out of retrograde now. So that's interesting. And you're in Ohio. Okay. Excellent. And then the third person watching, would you like to comment and let us know where you're from? If I don't want to put you on the spot, if not, that's okay. Okay. So without further ado, did I tell you where I'm at? Okay. I'm in Sacramento County. For those of you who don't know, Sacramento is the capital of California. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So let's get into it for 5 minutes, almost 5 minutes in. Let's just get into it. So today's discussion is, what is a conscious relationship? So before I get into it, I would love to know, April and Heather, what's your understanding of a conscious relationship? Let's just go from there. Like, I'm curious to know, what is your concept of conscious relationships? Yeah. Well, I weirdly drink soda out of this can. Okay. A relationship that put you forward into maintaining or keeping. Okay. 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 Thank you, April. What about you, Heather? And hello to the other person that hopped on. Hello. Thanks for joining us. Okay, I'm hoping to learn more, but I assume it's two conscious individuals who stay awake together. Okay, so excellent. Thank you. And if the other two people, if you would like to put your thoughts on what a conscious relationship is in the comments, that'll be cool because I am looking at comments and I'm looking at the camera too, so both ways. Okay, so a conscious relationship, how I define a conscious relationship is one that requires your spirituality, right? Like spirituality and consciousness are kind of synonymous with each other. And when I'm talking about spirituality, I'm talking about your soul's truth, what that is for you, not the dogma that we're taught as children in religion or whatnot. Hey, if religion, if sacred texts work for you, that's cool. But I started from a young age questioning religion. Young age, like 12 or so, because it just didn't resonate with me as truth. And I was raised Baptist. And I just got to a point where it just didn't feel right anymore. And so I explored spirituality. So spirituality to me, consciousness is like what feels like truth to your spirit, because we're all spirit having this human experience, right? Our consciousness survives after the body dies, right? So that spark, you could call it your soul, your spirit, it's consciousness that holds on, okay? And it's proven through mediumship, which I also do. Mediumship is the ability to present evidential messages, so messages that you can say yes to, yes or no to, from people, loved ones that have passed on. That's a consciousness that you connect with. Energy is also synonymous with energy as well. So when we go into conscious relationships, we're talking about spiritual connections, right? Because those two words are synonymous with each other. And welcome to all the others who are present. Thank you guys. If you guys want to drop down where you are in the world in the comment section, that's great. And then also what your understanding of a conscious relationship is, that'd be great. And if you guys like the live, please hit the like button because that lets me know that you guys love it. Okay. Anyway, I digress. Okay, so spiritual awakenings, right? So when you have a spiritual awakening, it's like that tower moment where everything that you used to know, it just falters. And you're just like, I don't know what's what anymore. What's true? I don't know. Because like the veil is like breaking down. Veil. People say veil when they're talking about like seeing spirit or whatnot, or like the connection between spirit and other dimensions and our dimensions, right? Right. So Divine Feminine, welcome back, 87. Hey, Indianapolis, I remember that. And Ashley, hi, you're also a psychic medium as well. Awesome. Yes. Okay, so if you have anything to add, Ashley, it's talking about like spirit and consciousness, please feel free to drop it down in the comments, okay? All right, so the spiritual awakening, spiritual development. Now, we all have abilities, right? It's just like this huge spectrum. And on this side, it's like, oh, we're like very in tune with energy and spirit, right? Like heavily. And then we have the unawakened people, but they'll say like, oh, I had a gut feeling, or, something told me, and then we have all in the middle. So we all have the ability to tap into energy, what that means, right? Okay, so with that said, once you awaken, there's no going back to what you knew. Excuse me. There's no going back. There's only moving forward and you learning more about yourself as a spiritual being. It just keeps going. It keeps going. It keeps going. So as far as conscious relationships, they help you grow spiritually, right? And if you look at things with a higher perspective on life as it is, it's a different it's a different perspective. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, when you find yourself in a really bad situation, and in that moment you can't quite figure out what it is that, why is this happening? It's like, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? And then later on, they say it, hindsight is 2020. Later on, you're able to go back and reflect on it, like, oh wait, because that happened to me, this happened. So without that happening, I wouldn't be here, right? So coming and looking at it with a higher perspective, like higher consciousness, okay? Okay, so in regards to relationships, okay, I've come to a conclusion that we have 5 different types of conscious relationships. 5, okay? And I'm gonna go through them with you guys. But let me look at the comments. April says that she had a spiritual awakening back in 2016. This was the beginning of my abilities. Exactly, right? So you have free will, of course, right? We all have free will. I remember I was in Cura, because I write on Cura too. Cura is a questions and answer website. And I had to block somebody because he tried to argue with me about free will. And I'm like, we all have free will. He's like, oh, there's consequences. Well, there's always consequences to anything that you do. That's like the law of cause and effect. Like, yeah. And I said all that to say that we have free will. It is what it is. You know, like, you make a choice, there's a consequence, but you have the option to make that choice, right? Sorry, I just blanked out. Hold on a sec. Free will. Oh yeah. So you have free will. So when you start noticing that you're experiencing psychic phenomena or mediumship phenomena, you have the option of whether you want to continue to develop it or not. But if spirit wants you to do something, like, they're going to keep nudging you until you decide that, hey, maybe I should give this a try, right? I know that was the case for me in my mediumship. And that's another thing. You know what? Actually, I'll save that for conscious relationships. Okay, so the first conscious relationship that I'm going to talk about, oh, it's backwards. Dang it. It's twin flame. I thought for sure it was going to be the other way around, but twin flame is a conscious relationship. Okay, so it's like I have a lot of questions when I meet with people in my mentoring sessions about twin flames. It's like, okay, how do you know for sure that this is a twin flame connection if you're not spiritually aware, if you're not in tune with spirituality, if you're not understanding what like psychic phenomena is, or even mediumship? Because all of those play a role, because it is a conscious relationship, it's a spiritual relationship. Okay, so it's like, how, right? Because it's really popular. This phrase right here is super popular, and people throw it around and they don't quite know what it means. But it's okay, because I got you. I got you. Yeah, I got you. Yes, you can read it right. Okay, cool. I'm gonna go back. Why would free will be necessary if we co-create our life plan? Okay, so I don't disagree with that, Heather. I don't. But our soul, okay, so if we remembered everything that we were trying to do in this lifetime, it would take away the experience, right? I mean, there's some parts that we can tap into, but for the most part, as soon as we incarnate and come out of our mom's wombs, we're not going to remember anything, right? And that's for purpose. But our soul knows what we're supposed to do. Like, say for instance, like, you feel super drawn to a specific thing in your life, and you don't know why you feel drawn to do that, but that's part of your soul's purpose. It's part of what you plan to do in this lifetime. Does that make sense? Okay. Let me know if you're following me with that. I can continue, but everyone's consequences are different. What one may think is a consequence, exactly. And I was going to say, like, consequences aren't necessarily bad or good. It's just cause and effect. There's an action and there's something that follows by that action, and that's it. I know that in coaching parents with kids in therapy, I always tell them, like, it's so important for you to communicate choices. So it's like, okay, your child is acting in a way with the behavior that you don't like. Okay, so we're going to talk about that behavior correctly. So it's like, okay, if you keep doing this, this is what you can expect to happen, but it's your choice. Okay, so if you like keep slamming your door, if you keep slamming your door, I'm going to take away your phone for 5 days, but it's your choice. So what would you like to do? So I'm telling you, if you shut that door one more time, I'm taking your phone for 5 days. So it's your choice. So you make the choice to slam that door, I'm taking your phone for 5 days, but I told you this. So that is a choice, right? There's a consequence to the choice. So I'm just saying cause and effect. That's it. Okay. All right. So twin flames. So I will say we all have a divine counterpart, okay? Some people will say it's one soul split into two, and I like that, Heather. It is my perspective, and I appreciate that. I like that. Thank you. Because other people have different perspectives, so I appreciate that wording. But some people believe it's one soul split into two, which I can get down with. Because if you think about it multidimensionally, that's plausible. Totally plausible. And if you think about twins can be one egg split into two, right? But then also think about it from a fraternal twin, which is what I am. I have a fraternal sister. So my perspective again, what if we were created, two souls were created at the same time, right? Two souls created at the same time, but they're pairs. Okay, so whatever you resonate with is whatever you resonate with, but we all have one. But not all of our divine counterparts incarnate in the life that we have together, okay? And also, we all have different journeys, and just like Heather said earlier, like, what about the pre-planning? That is also into the effective things, right? We can pre-plan, but we also have free will to make decisions off of that, because we're not going to remember that unless you're able to like go back into the Akashic records and do that. I don't have that ability. I have not tried that yet, but there's some people that are able to access information from the Akashic records. The Akashic records is a book of like all knowing of all things, all lifetimes, and what you plan to do in this lifetime and whatnot. I know there's some mediums that have specialties that have the ability to do that. I'm not one of them, but they're out there. Okay, so we all have them, but it just depends on what your life purpose is and what your evolution is and what your agreement with your divine counterpart was supposed to be in this lifetime. Okay, so I always say that there is always a possibility for union, but it just depends on what your journey is, okay, and the purpose of your journey, right? I'm not going to be like, there's people out there who's like, oh, twin flames are not supposed to be together. I'm like, how can you say that? How can you say that blanket statement when we're all souls having, different experiences based on our soul's need? We can't use blanket statements like that. Just can't. We can't. Okay. So conscious relationship, and you have to be conscious in order to even recognize that you're dealing with your divine counterpart. Okay. Which leads me down to the second conscious relationship. We have a karmic partner. Okay. I don't give karmic to bad names because they're also part of our soul group. Okay. Soul group. These are souls that we've experienced other lifetimes with and played different roles in each other's lives, okay? A karmic could be your mom, your grandma, your brother, your cousin, your teacher, the bully, your husband, your girlfriend. It could be anybody in your life. Their purpose and your purpose in interacting with them is to either learn soul lessons and or balance out karma between you and that soul. Okay, so they do play a major part in your life. However, the difference between these two, these normally cause triggers and trauma, and these remind you of what your wounds are so that you can heal them. That's really the difference, but they get very much confused about one another. Okay, a lot of people get these confused when they think they're dealing with this, but they're actually dealing with this. Okay. I follow. Hi, Esoteric Phoenix. Thanks for hopping on. Thank you. I haven't met you yet, but I'm happy you're here. Thank you. Unless that's Deborah. Is that Deborah? It looks like Deborah. If that's you, Deborah, give me a thumbs up. Okay, so karmics are very important. Okay, I'm never going to ever say anything about a karmic. In fact, I actually wrote something about a karmic today. Actually, I was listening to Keisha Cole. I love me some Keisha. I listened to Keisha when I was in my most toxic relationship from the ages of 18 to 21. That was a karmic situation, 100%, 100%. And it was very toxic. It was very abusive on both parties. We were physically, emotionally, verbally abusive to each other. I mean, I was too. I'm not proud of that. But that was, we both came from dysfunction. And so we bonded. I wouldn't say that we trauma bonded, but I would say that it was normalized, right? Dysfunction was normalized for us. So we stuck together like this. From that relationship, it took me 10 years to heal myself from that, to love myself, because after that relationship, I did not love myself. I didn't know who I was. He broke me down all the way to the soil, and I had to build myself back up. Okay, so that taught me a lot about self-love. You would think that self-love is easy, right? Like, it's so easy to love myself, but it's not. Situations like that from growing up, like, what type of parenting did you have? Were you neglected? Were you abandoned as a child? Were you cared for? Were you loved? Were you shown love? Were you cared for? Like, did you go to the doctor? You know, like, did you have people worry about you? All these things play a factor into how we develop. Okay, so this is the therapist hat coming on too, but they intertwine. Okay, doing therapy work a lot of the times is very intuitive. It's intuitive, not intuitive as the part where it's like, hey, like, I have your grandmother here and she wants to say something to you. No, I don't do that. But just like picking up on things and to be able to like challenge the client in order for them to like question it and grow more. Okay, so it is intuitive work. It is intuitive work. But karmic, so they're just as important as any other spiritual connection. They just get a bad rap because it's very difficult. Those relationships are very difficult, and people like to romanticize very difficult relationships. I know when I was in with that karmic, it was like ride or die. It was ride or die, and it could have got to a point of like murder suicide. And I'm serious. I'm not saying that because I think it's funny or I think it's cute. We would have done that. That's how toxic we were. Okay, but at the end of the day, I had to learn how to really love myself and learn how I should be treated. So that it took me a long time to learn that lesson, but I learned it. And so karmic. Okay. Next conscious relationship we have is a soulmate. I wish it was the other way around so you guys could see it properly, but it's soulmate. Okay. Now soulmates they don't have to be romantic at all, just like a karmic. It could be a platonic relationship or it could be family members. I know that my grandmother was one of my soulmates. She's definitely in my soul group. The connection I have with my grandmother in spirit and on when she was living is phenomenal. Like, she was everything to me. So much so I have her face tatted right here. Mostly, if you guys have been following me on social media for a while, you've seen the portrait of her. But they're great. They're easy. Those relationships are really easy. They're supportive, but like at the same time, they're great. So the downfall of that is that it could hinder your growth if you're with a soulmate. Because everything's great. Everything's smooth. And not saying that anything has to go wrong, but I would say that's the only downfall, is that everything is just so great all the time. You don't need to change anything. So that's the only downfall I would say about soulmates. But yes, we all have them. And like when you feel super connected to somebody, soulmate. I've known you before. I remember I was in basic training and I met this girl. Her name was Jessica. And I knew her. I don't know how I knew her, but I knew her. She was super familiar to me. It was the same type of recognition when I met my divine masculine. Same energy. I was just like, oh, I knew her. And I met her once or twice. I think we went to church together once or twice. And that was it. I've never seen her again. Never seen her again. Can't tell you what she looks like. All I remember is that soul recognition. So we've crossed paths in the past before, in past lives, future lives, congruent lives, parallel lives, however you want to look at it, multidimensional, right? The universe is infinite. Like we still we don't even know even like a percentage of all that there is to know. I was in bed last night, a side note, I was in bed last night looking on Instagram, and I found a profile and it was called ET Species, and supposedly it's supposed to be like a profile about all the extraterrestrials or all the different alien species that are out in the universe. And I kind of took it like a grain of salt. I was like, yeah, this is interesting, but how do you know? How do you know? Right? I'm an Aquarius, I question things. Okay. I digress. Back to conscious relationships. Okay, so the fourth conscious relationship we have is with ourselves. Okay, aka our higher selves. Okay, that is the part of yourself that's going to remember what you are supposed to do in this lifetime. What the predestined plan things that Heather was talking about earlier is your higher self. Your higher self is going to know that information, okay? And the best way to learn more about your higher self or to communicate more with your higher self is through meditation, okay? When I was in physical separation from my divine masculine, my higher self told me to start meditating and then to communicate with his higher self. So I was like, okay, I'll do that. Because I already know how energy works, because I already worked with spirit, I didn't contest it. I was like, okay, yeah. Just like when spirit told me to share my journey, I didn't contest it. I said, okay. And that's when I started making my vlogs about my journey. And now I know it's to help everyone that's questioning or struggling on the journey. It was for that very reason, which is why I'm here. But when you're able to understand yourself, that's a journey of its own. It's and being with my divine counterpart, I keep learning more levels about myself that I didn't know before. More areas of me to work on, more areas of me to heal, and it's an ongoing process. When I look back at myself when I was dealing with the karmic that I just talked about, that was like 16 years ago, 16 to like 13 years ago. Mm-hmm. I was a totally different person then. Totally different person. A lot of anger too. I've learned how to manage my anger, communicate better, all of that. I'm a total, my thought patterns are totally different now. My beliefs and understandings are different, and I would say they're more evolved now. But that's because I've been doing this self-reflective work, and I'm also in therapy. I talk about that too. Therapy helps too, because it gives you a different, again, perspective. It's an outside person that doesn't know you intimately, if that makes sense. They spend an hour with you either every week or every other week or every month in my case. So it's different for you to do that work, that self-healing work. We all have the capability to self-heal, okay? Sometimes we need help, but we have the capability to self-heal, okay? So that is a relationship. If you don't have a relationship with your higher self, I recommend that you start it after this live, okay? Because it's important. Because it's true, you should love yourself and know yourself more than anybody else does. These are facts, okay? I have a twin sister. I would say she knows me pretty well, right? But I know myself better than she knows me, and vice versa. You know what I mean? I have that twin connection with her. And I don't know if this is the time and place. I won't talk about that right now because we're talking about conscious relationships, but I've always been intuitive since I was born. I've always had abilities, which will bring me to my next conscious relationship, which is right along here. All right, so the last conscious relationship to be aware of is one that you have with spirit. That's spirit. My handwriting is spirit, okay? And we are all connected to spirit. Okay, but like I said, we have different spectrums of it. We're all psychic on one level or another. There's some people that say that anyone can be a medium. I'm going to disagree with that, only because everyone can't channel messages for different people. But we all have the capability to tap in with our loved ones in spirit, because of our love, and love never dies. That connection with them will always keep us connected to them. Okay. But outside of that, some people have the ability to communicate with other people that they don't know in spirit. That's a medium. The difference between a medium and a psychic is that a medium is able to use their psychic abilities to communicate with spirit and bring messages. And psychics, they're able to tap into energy and get information, but they're not necessarily able to tap into spirit energy and bring evidential messages. Okay? Excuse me. That's the difference. All mediums are psychic, but not all psychics are mediums. There we go. Yeah, and Ashley, yeah, she says, I agree with you. I don't believe anyone can be a medium. And this is interesting. So I believe I was born with the gifts because I've always had experiences. I saw my first spirit at age 6, probably one that I can remember. And there's some people that experience mediumship later in life, which is called a latent medium. And that happens due to like something traumatic. It could be like a loss of a loved one, a near-death experience, and they come back with mediumistic abilities because they've been to the other side and back. So one can be a medium, but it doesn't mean that everyone's a medium. If that makes sense. Your daughter started at 5. Okay, so she started like a year younger than me. Yeah. So, and children, the young ones, they're so innocent and not conditioned to the world that they could tell you that they see things, right? If I had a child and my child told me, Mom, like I saw this older lady and she looks like this and that, and she explained my grandmother to me, I would 100% believe my child and be like, okay, that was your great grandmother that you saw. I'm not gonna say like, oh honey, you were seeing things or whatever. Like, no, I want to nurture that ability, nurture that gift, because it's totally natural because we're spiritual beings, right? And Ashley, okay, I did the same thing, okay? So since we're talking about spirit, my journey to mediumship, like I said, I've always had the abilities. During my adolescence, it scared me, so I blocked it out. But it came back around when my grandfather passed. It was like, I had a premonition that night, the night before. And I knew my grandmother was going to call me and tell, because I had spent the night over a friend's house. And I knew something bad was going to happen. And I knew my grandmother was going to call me in the middle of the night and tell me to come home. And all of this happened. She called me around like 3:30. She told me I needed to come home because my grandfather fell. And he fell and he hit his head on the like step over shower thing. And he was sitting out in front like this, legs out front. And I'm like, Grandpa, I'm calling 911. We got to get you to the hospital. Something happened. And he was like, I'm not paying them to come pick me up. And I chuckled and I was like, Grandpa, you can't say that. Like, you need help. I'm going to call. I called and he told them no. I don't give you permission to transport me. So then they asked me and I chuckled because I was like, yeah, you're right. You said you weren't going to go. You're not going to go. So I took them to the hospital. On the way to the hospital, we got T-boned. My car got T-boned, spun out, and it landed on a lawn of a fast food joint. And I just remember my grandfather yelling, and I just took my hands off the wheel and I was like, okay, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. So after that, my grandfather passed away 5 days later after that. So that premonition was like, oh, like it's coming back around again. Okay. So then a friend of mine was like, you should probably like join a psychic group or something. Like, okay. So I found modern spiritualism. Spiritualism is the belief that we can connect with people in the spirit world. And that's where mediumship happens. They do mediumship, they do healing, trance mediumship, chicken in my teeth. And so that's where I started developing my mediumship. So I was like 21 when this happened. And that's also an ongoing journey as well. But my relationship with spirit is pretty good now. when I do readings, I used to always be super nervous. So like last year I did an at-home reading with someone I'd done before, and I brought my divine masculine. And hold on, sorry. I brought my divine masculine, and he sat in the car when I went inside and did the reading. The reading was really well. It went well, as they always do. But my anxiety was super high. And so I got back in the car and I was like, I don't know why I'm always so anxious. Like, I know I can do this. I do it all the time. And he just simply said, perhaps maybe you're really anxious because you have to increase your energy to meet spirit's energy. As if it was a fact. And I was like, that makes sense. That makes sense. And so then the reading that I've done after that, no anxiety, none. So I was like, wow, okay, I have a little bit of anxiety always because I never know what's going to come out, but it's that trust and understanding that you have with spirit, okay? And even if you're not a medium, even if you're not a psychic, you can still develop a relationship with spirit because you are spirit in a human body. So it's totally possible, okay? But you have to be conscious and aware of that, okay? Consciousness, awareness, spirituality, synonymous with each other, okay? Mari, that's interesting. She came to channel our past lives. That's awesome. And even like talking about past lives is fascinating to me. It's so fascinating when children, they're usually doing when they're younger, they tend to not remember it as they get older because they get more conditions in the world and whatnot. Or they're intuitive and they carry it with them. So those are the 5 different types of conscious relationships that we have in our lives, okay? And it's great for you to be aware of that because once you're aware of that, it really does help in your own development, in your own evolution, okay? Heather, hoping to understand better how to live day to day in a conscious relationship. It can be hard enough to not doubt your own inner knowing. So how do you communicate this knowing to your partner? Okay. The more that you work on your own spiritual development and your own understanding, it gets easier. I promise you. I promise you. It's a journey just like anything else. My partner is just a blessing. He's the first person that I've been able to be 100% myself with. I've always sheltered a part of myself away from other people just because of the fact that I am intuitive. And a lot of people don't understand. If you know, you know. If you don't, then it's hard, right? My ex told me I was scamming people with my readings, which was really offensive to me because he was atheist. I said, I need you to stop saying that. That's really offensive because that tells me that 1, you think I'm lying, and 2, you're not supportive. So what did I do? I kept like building, I kept doing readings, but I didn't talk about them. I didn't share the information. Like even when I had good readings or whatnot, and then I wouldn't share that part of that with him because he never believed me, right? So this relationship, I don't have to do that. I can talk freely and open without being judged or laughed at or any of that. He hasn't ever seen me channel, but I don't need him to because I feel like he believes in me. And he's also very intuitive himself too. So there's that. But it is hard if you're just now getting into your own consciousness, your own awareness. It's hard to do that day to day, but you build on that. It doesn't happen overnight. You build on it, and then you become more cognizant and aware of your surroundings and the people that are in your life, right? I'm at a part now where I don't deal with toxic people. I don't deal with drama. I don't deal with any of that. Boundary. Nope. If you feel funny to me, I won't do it. Just like the landlord I was telling you guys about earlier. I got to a point where I just stopped talking to her. And if you guys can't tell, I like to talk. I talk a lot. I've always been that way. Once I get to a point where I'm not talking to you, that's it. I'm done. Done. I've only done that to, including her, 3 people in my life. The karmic that I just talked to you guys about, and a past friend of mine. Cut off. Done. Yeah. I don't deal with stuff like that. I don't have to. I don't need to. If I'm here and you're somewhere down here, or at your own level of understanding, that's cool. We're not in alignment. So I only correspond with people that I'm in alignment with. and just learning more about myself, I'm able to connect with a lot of people, right? Like I'm a people person, if you guys can't tell. People person. I walked into a Jamba Juice a few weeks ago, and there was two younger, they're young, working there. And I just paused and I could not connect with them. And I thought that was really odd. Like, huh. And I sat with that for a little bit. I'm like, I wasn't able to connect with them. And then I was just like, huh, that's really interesting. Because for me, in order for you to know me, you have to feel me. Seeing me is not enough. You have to feel me. Because I've been told a lot that I look stuck up. I intimidate people, especially when I start talking. I'm not stuck up. I'm fairly confident, but I'm not arrogant. So I give off that energy. Or people, that's how people perceive. I'm not gonna say that's how people perceive me, but I'm not that way, obviously. But it's all in understanding yourself, understanding yourself energetically, spiritually, emotionally, physically, mentally. Did I say emotionally? Okay. It's all holistic. They're all included. So spirituality is it's like it's so important to understand yourself on a deep, deep level. Okay. So like imagine if your soul was inside of your body, where would it be? It would be deep in there, right? I know that my soul sits here because I channel from here. A lot of people be like a gut feeling, a gut feeling. And I'm like, I've never had a gut feeling. I don't know what that's like. I don't get my information from my solar plexus. I get my information from my heart chakra or from cosmic. Okay. And I know that because I know myself spiritually. I understand what that is. I understand how I communicate with spirit. That takes time. That takes time. Not just if you're a medium, but just in general. Okay. So I know I've done a lot of talking. So I'm wondering if you guys have any questions. And for those that are still with me, thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you for the likes. I appreciate that too. I know that people have gone back and looked at the lives, and so thank you if you're reviewing this not live. I appreciate it. I appreciate the support. Yeah, I'm just like. mm. Ooh, that was a lot of talking. 42 minutes straight talking. Yeah, so I want to open the door for any questions or any comments with what I've shared today about conscious relationships and how to distinguish amongst them. Oh. Okay, maybe more important than understanding yourself, because I have that, is trusting that you can share this aspect of yourself with others. Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, like that ability to just like be your true self, right? Anywhere, at any time, anywhere you go. Yeah, that's important too. Like trusting yourself entirely and being able to show up for yourself no matter what, right? I had to do that with my best friend. She's like a perfect example of like showing up for myself. Her consciousness is slowly rising as well, which I think that has to do with me being in her life. But she was so against my partner because of his behaviors. And I mean, if you were looking at it 3D, yeah, I get it. He was in and out. In and out, and at one point, like he just left California and didn't even see me. He said he was going to. We got into it, didn't do it, and yeah, and she was just like, Amber, he left and he didn't see you. That it's over. And I'm like, I agree to disagree. I know what's going to happen. I can't tell you when it's going to happen. I know. I just have this knowing. So when we end up together, we end up moving together, we end up living together. She's just like, you were right. Crazy. That's crazy that I was right. Not crazy, but you know what I mean? Like, and so she, I've even given her a mediumship reading before, which she never experienced. And so like from that point on, I think that she became a little bit more understanding about how these things work spiritually. And so now she's always been supportive, but like just the 3D, like she's my best friend. I would call her like my ride or die. Like she would fight for me if she needed to. She's one of those. And so she just couldn't stand like me hurting and me being sad over this person, because that's all she's ever seen. I've always had dysfunctional relationships, always being hurt. And so she didn't want that for me. So I understood where she was coming from, but I'm like, just think higher. I did a video of us talking about that too. So if you guys are interested, it'll be on my playlist, my twin flame journey, that playlist, okay? Mari says, have you ever heard of someone having both the karmic and twin in one happy situation? No. If it's a third party situation, there's always someone that's not happy. And usually we tend to stay in situations that we're comfortable with, instead of getting out of it, even if it's not healthy. You know, we stay in it because it's familiar versus something that's brand new, especially with the intense things that happen when you meet your divine counterpart. It's intense, and that scares people. I know it scared my counterpart. You know, he ran shortly after us meeting, and he said it just because it was just really intense. Never experienced that before. Yeah, so it just depends on the situation, but I don't believe that there's that's not happy. It's not going to be a happy situation, because usually one person wants to be with the other, and you know, as like a happy situation could be a soulmate situation where someone is with their soulmate. Again, like I'm saying, like everything is perfect, there's nothing wrong, but they're not able to move any further than what there are. Like there's no challenges. And I'm not saying that a relationship with your soulmate is horrible, because it's not. It's super easy, and it's, hey, like it's great. Any soulmate relationship you have is great. There's no problems. But without challenges, how can you grow, right? So I'm not saying that perfect relationships are bad and you should leave them for something chaotic. I'm not saying that at all. But if you're happen to be with a soulmate and you meet your divine counterpart, you know, there's change that's happening within, okay? That changes the situation. It's not right or wrong. It's just whatever. If you meet your divine counterpart, it's because in this lifetime, it's because both souls agreed to have that meeting, okay? Going back to what Heather said earlier about that pre-planning your life, that'd be part of it, okay? I've never heard of anyone truly being happy with the karmic, since they're usually self-centered and manipulated. Well, you know, I wouldn't say they're all self-centered, but it's a challenging situation with the karmic. It's always challenging. Like just imagine like you having a bully throughout elementary school, middle, and high school. That's a karmic type of relationship, right? It's really hurtful, harmful, but it's there for a reason, okay? In hindsight, we can see why, looking back on why that happened and why, like what that did to you, that it could have either made you stronger or it could have made you go down another path, you know? But again, we all have choices, we have free will, you know, all that great stuff. But yeah, karmics are hard. Dealing with the divine counterpart is hard because they show you things that you still need to work on. You know, it's like, I thought, oh, you know, I've healed that aspect of myself by abandonment wounding. I'm good on that. Yeah. And then it happens and I'm like, I thought I've done with this already. I thought I went through this already. And it's because we still have work to do, you know? Mine is self-centered, and he's an Aries and I'm a Libra. I set myself up good, huh? Oh, you got the fire, you got the air. Okay. Well, I'm an Aquarius, and mine's a Gemini. So it's a double air. Imagine how that is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. My dad's a Gemini. He's the 24th. My counterpart's the 26th. So yeah, I get it. It's hard. I knew it. I knew it was you. I knew it was you. I knew it. Thank you, Deborah, for joining. You see that big old smile you just gave me? And my vein popping out of my head. But yeah, so that is the live today. I really, really appreciate you guys coming on and interacting. This is so much fun. I am hosting a mediumship event. I will be hosting it monthly all this year. So if I don't have enough participants in this month's event, I will transfer it over to February, and then just keep going, just keep on trucking. It's this Saturday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you're interested, I would say I will link it. I will link it after this video ends in the description box, so you can check it out. Tickets are only $35. And it's a limitation of 8, but right now I have 1 person, like I said. So if you're interested and you're watching this before January 14th, check it out. If not, then whatever month that you're viewing this, I will be hosting an intimate evening with spirit, which is a mediumship demonstration. Okay. I want to get back into doing mediumship more regularly, because once I started talking about twin flames, it kind of took over. People just know me as a twin flame girl, but I actually started with mediumship, and I'm a medium, and I want to continue to practice and develop and, keep going. Just like all things that we do, you keep the muscle, you got to keep working it out, right? So yeah, and I'm available for sessions as well. My availability is getting ready to get small again, because I am working at a private practice in the evenings, so I'll be switching it up. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, my availability is going to just be for therapy clients, and then Thursday, Friday, and some Sundays in the month, I'm going to open it up for availability for readings or conscious relationship mentoring. Conscious relationship mentoring is basically an intuitive therapy session, to sum it up. And we talk about the different type of conscious relationships you may be experiencing, and giving you tools. I give you tools on how to navigate through your situation. But because of my therapeutic background, that's what makes me very unique when I talk about twin flame dynamics, because I have experience and expertise and education around relationship dynamics. And so that's what makes me unique, because a lot of people that you just be cautious on what's on the internet. That's all I'm going to say. Just be cautious, okay? If there's somebody talking about twin flames and they're not even in a twin flame situation, nor are they spiritually inclined, like, I don't know. And there's a lot of people that are consciously inclined, but are saying wrong information. So just fill it out. I've seen some stuff, I've heard some stuff that I don't subscribe to, but again, we're all on our own level of understanding. And so if that's where people are at, that's where they're at, but we learn and we grow. So I'm only here to help spread the good word, spread, information that you can actually use and grow from. I advocate for people to use their intuitive abilities and learn how to build on that, instead of getting readings all the time. I mean, I also do readings too, but I stopped doing them specifically for twin flame, because I saw that there was a need for more, as far as like explaining what conscious relationships are and relationship dynamics. Your twin flame should not be toxic, should not be traumatic to you. That is a karmic. That's a karmic relationship. That's what their purpose is, to help you grow. And sometimes it's a very challenging, okay? So I educate as well and give tools as well, So that's the difference between me and other twin flame talkers, or experts on the matter, have you? But yeah, I would love to have my divine masculine on here one day, but he's not. He's real behind the scenes. We're different in that aspect, where I'm becoming more of an ambivert as I get older. That's extrovert and introvert combined as I get older. But on the forefront, I'm totally an extrovert, and he is totally an introvert. That plays well in social settings, but he's really an introvert. I love him for that. So he's behind the scenes. But yeah, so if you guys want me to talk about anything specific next week, I'm going to be going live every Thursday. So just let me know, or I will plan it out for next week. So just stay tuned. I'll post it on your feed. But thank you so much for everyone that's here. I appreciate you. Mari and Heather and April And Deborah, thank you guys. You guys are like the main commenters, so I appreciate you so much. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys. You stay safe, and I will see you soon. If you guys are interested in booking anything with me, that will be in the description box, and an intimate evening with Spirit will also be in the description box as well. All right, guys. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.